Well, right after this, you're working a lot of six mans with Sting and Ole. Of course, you're part of the Horsemen here. You're going to have television title defenses against the Great Muta, Buzz Sawyer, Tommy Rich, Ricky Morton, Junkyard Dog, Paul Orndorff, and others. And then, of course, famously, you guys turn heel, kick Sting out of the group, and you wind up teaming with Rick in a lot of tag matches against Sting and various partners. It's a long title reign. You hold it for nearly the entire year of 1990 before losing it to Z-Man on December 4th, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia. So having won it in Gainesville, you're going to drop it in Atlanta almost a year later. During this time, the belt was actually renamed. Instead of the NWA World Television title, it's now the WCW World Television title. This reigned 336 days, so longer than the first one. Quite a long run, but there's probably a bit of a difference losing the title to Dusty versus losing it to Z-Man, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I had no problem with putting Tom over. Good looking guy. They, you know, the word was they wanted to use him and they wanted to elevate him. And, you know, that was my job. Even though I held on to that title, those incredible lengths of time that you just talked about. If you go back and watch every one of those matches, the scene was pretty much the same. I spent most of that 20 minutes making that guy look like he was going to win any second.
Right.
And when the time ran out, you had elevated a guy, even though he didn't win, he didn't lose, and he came so close to winning. Done well with the right talent and the urgency and the mad scramble to get that pinfall as the time is running down, it made for an exciting scenario. And I think, you know, Tom Zenk was better the next day after beating me for the television title than he was the day before. And that was my goal. And I was fine with that.
Well, that run, that Z-Man is going to start here, goes a whole 34 days. And you win the title back for the third time on January 7th, 1991. Again, another title change in Georgia. This time it's in Perry, Georgia. This one winds up airing on Worldwide Wrestling at the time. 34-day run, and then we're just back to usual Arn and the TV title. This is a little unique at the time. You guys weren't flip-flopping belts the way they would a generation later, but it probably served its purpose. You proved that Tom Zenk was a real player, right?
Well, I tried to. And, you know, I don't know that Tom looked at that title as much as an asset as maybe it was a burden. It would be easy to do that. You know, guys that didn't like to work long matches and hard matches and all the time, if the pure wrestling aspect of the business wasn't kind of where you were centered, if you just wanted to be a big deal in your neighborhood, or you wanted to feel like you were a big star because you were on TV all the time, you know, if you were, or you just were in it for the money or the notoriety or whatever the reason was, if you weren't dialed in to the purity of wrestling, unless that was your passion, you know, guys like Tully Blanchard, Steven Regal, you know, myself, guys that just love the bell-to-bell stuff. That's what you live for. I don't know that Tom was one of those guys, and that's all well and good because it was a hard job being the television champion, but man, was it rewarding.
Without question. Of course, you're working with all the top talent during this title reign. Dusty, Ron Garvin, Manny Fernandez, Magnum, Sam Houston, Don Kernoodle, Jimmy Valiant, everybody in the territory. You're also in the Crockett Cup in 86. This time you're with Tully. You're going to lose in the second round of the Fantastics. Ultimately, you wind up losing your television title on September 9th, 1986 in Columbia, South Carolina. And who better to lose it to after 248 days than the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. It's kind of fun to think about now that you're his son's coach, but he beat you to end your first television title reign. What was it like working with Dusty here in 86?
Well, he was such a huge star and he was so over. He was so charismatic. Just going after my championship elevated me. And the fact that he beat me elevated me. Rolling out of that ring after wrestling Dusty Rhodes for however length of time it was, 10, 15 minutes, and getting beat right in the middle was better than beating 25 other guys that were just middle of the road. I mean, he was the star, the top guy. He was the American dream. And for him to want that championship, come after me and take that championship, in my mind, it just elevated me, and it also gave me fodder for promos and going forward, a chance to start plotting on how to get it back. So it gave me all kind of ammo.